Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Death Note Part 1, Episode 9, Encounter. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief summary of exactly what happens within this episode. L decides to remove the surveillance and then joins Light at the college exams and entrance ceremony, revealing his identity to Light in person as the next move within their game. After rewatching the episode, I am now going to rank the episode on our two lists. First list is the mostly objective list, which is non-emotional, and then the personal ranking, which is emotional. All right, the mostly objective rank values for this episode, I've highlighted them below. We start with our single arc main character development, and this of course has to do with L. And Elle decides to take the college entrance exams and sits a couple of people behind Light. And then when we see the college entrance ceremony, we see that he is a co-freshman representative alongside Light. Some of the background characters helpfully inform us that usually the student that scores the highest gives the freshman address, so the fact that they are both doing so means that they did tie on the exams. Our next point is, of course, our multi-arc main character, which is Light, who also takes the college entrance exams and becomes the co-freshman representative with L. And because these two tie together, they are worth 6 points. And then there is the impactful, memorable moment line, etc., which is, of course, the fact that in this episode, L reveals his identity to Light as L, which is a major move within their game so far. They've been kind of cat and mousing it without meeting. Now they have met, and obviously very excited about that because this is where the game truly sort of starts to begin. And that is worth 3 points. I didn't feel that there was really any negatives in this episode. There almost was. I almost thought Light had regressed a bit again, but because his little tantrum kind of took place in private, I didn't consider it a regression in this case. Therefore, our final score for our objective list is a 9 out of 10. So as a reminder of our Part 1 ranking so far, we have in first place Rebirth, then Confrontation, Encounter is third place, Tactics, Pursuit, Glare, Unraveling, Dealings in eighth, and then in last place we have Overcast. Alright, so now we come to the personal ranking, and this episode, you may or may not be able to tell, I have a very even voice tone even when I don't intend to, but I was very excited about this episode. It amused me greatly, or rather entertained me greatly. And it kind of starts with Light kind of walking outside with a contorted Ryuk who's begging for apples, and Light then buys him a bag of apples, which he takes to the park and hand feeds to Ryuk, who is kind of upset about how he's being treated, to be honest. And he even comments on the fact that he's very tempted to take out his note and write Light's name down, but of course Light's not worried because he's obviously far too amusing to Ryuk to actually want to kill. I mean, then Rook would have to go back to boredom and he wouldn't want that. We then have the fact that Light realizes that with his little potato chip bag trick, he was only able to kill minor criminals, which are different from the criminals that he usually kills. And so to try to cover himself, he starts to kill a few more minor criminals, which, again, I would have considered this to be a little bit of a minor character regression because he's becoming a little more lax on his rules. But criminals are criminals, minor or major. It doesn't change the fact that they are criminals. It's still within his MO, so I didn't consider that to be a regression at all. We then show Elle and Soichiro kind of talking about what they've observed and how Suichiro's kind of like, well, we've been monitoring my family. They haven't really done anything. Neither has the deputy director's family. Elle admits that, in fact, from the surveillance footage that he has gotten, he has seen nothing suspicious from anyone. However, then he does kind of muse on things and he kind of thinks that if any of them are Kira, that they have definitely reached a godlike mentality because they are able to kill without any change in their expression whatsoever, which even hardened criminals, typically if they were going to kill somebody, there would be at least some slight change in their expression. And he then basically shows that they have a god complex, but they're definitely not a god, that they're too childish for that. And he decides to have the cameras removed. And this is a good thing for Ryuk because now he can have apples within the house again. And once he confirms that all of the apples, the cameras, have been removed, the first thing Light does is go down to the table and grab an apple from the fruit bowl and bring it back to his room so Ryuk can eat it. We then kind of get a break from the human Earth world, and we get to go into the Shinigami realm, and we get a little update on how the Shinigami are feeling about Ryuk right now. And one of the Shinigami goes over to a group of the others and was like, hey, I notice a lot of people have been looking into that human world recently. What's going on there? And then the Shinigami there say, oh, Ryuk, he's being kept as a pet by a human. And of course, the Shinigamis all laugh at Ryuk. And then one of them says, it's not even Ryuk I'm laughing at the human who's keeping him. Ryuk wouldn't make a very cute pet. And it's adorable. And then when you kind of look at like how Light has been treating Ryuk, he kind of has been treating him a bit like a pet. Rewards are the apples, and Ryuk performs tricks to get them, like finding all the cameras, for instance, and making sure there's no wiretaps, etc., etc. So they're not wrong, really. And then one of the Shinigami there goes, okay, well, that sounds so interesting. I'm going to go and take a look myself, adding to the crowd that is apparently now watching the human world quite avidly. And then we, of course, have Light going for his college exam. The proctor for the exam kind of walks past him to kind of scold Elle for sitting incorrectly, and Light glances behind him, and this is the first time that they visually see each other. Oh, so cute. And then, of course, we skip over to all of a sudden we're at the entrance exam. Not exam, ceremony. Gosh, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. And we have basically Light sitting there getting called up as the freshman representative, and then Elle's name is called as well, and he follows Light up to the stand, and he is staring very fixedly at Light from behind, and we get our kind of color indicator of evil versus good, where, Light turns red, Elle turns blue, and then they give their speeches, and Light's in this like nice pressed up suit. Elle is in his slouchy comfy clothes. And they essentially repeat the same speech, so I think it's a pre-prepared speech, not one that they've written, because they say the exact same thing when they're giving it. They just take turns. And honestly, I think it's a bit of a pity that Elle stole Light's thunder. I mean, Light would have been the top score if Elle hadn't taken the exam as well. And Elle has already obviously gotten to the point where he already has a career. He had no reason to be there other than to make contact with Elle or with Light. So I feel like Elle stealing Light's thunder was a bit rude. Like, let him have his moment. He's a genius. He worked hard and he deserved that spotlight for his genius. But I mean, obviously, it's not a big deal. And I also think it is far more impressive that Light managed to score on par with Elle, who is already established as a genius, already established in a career known for his genius. And then Light, who's just graduated high school, manages to be on par with that, which I think is very impressive, far more impressive than a fully functioning graduated adult going backwards to the entrance ceremony and exams. So I will give Light kudos for that. And then, of course, they return to their seats. Elle sits down next to Light, and while the ceremony continues, Elle basically tells Light his entire history. Congratulations, you did your research. And then Elle reveals himself, and I don't know that it was meant to be funny. I think it was meant to be dramatic. But when he says, I am Elle, there's an echo to his voice to make it more epic. And I know they were trying to be dramatic. I guarantee you it was trying to be dramatic. It was funny though that he's just like talking normally, giving this speech, and then all of a sudden, I am Elle and Elle, echo. And then, of course, once again, we have the color change for the rest of the scene. All of the people in the background, except Ryuk, all fade to shadow, and then you have Ryuk hovering behind Light, who has the red eyes and red hair, and Elle sitting next to him, kind of observing him and his reaction with the blue hair and the blue eyes, and Light gets caught in his head trying to figure out how he's going to react to not lead to suspicion and what exactly Elle's motivation is. And we get treated to basically a long internal monologue from Light until eventually the ceremony ends. And as they're leaving, Elle calls out to Light, who's heading home, and basically says that it was nice to meet him. And Light politely says that it was nice to meet him too. And then Elle gets into his car that, like, Watari opens the door for him, and he gets into, like, a little town car. And another golden moment, some background character is like, is that a limousine? And I'm just sitting there like, limousines are very, very long. This is very, very short. It's a little town car. Admittedly, it is like British style town car, somewhat old fashioned. So, mm, but I mean, this is the age of the internet. And even then, Light obviously has access to the internet, to computers, to a phone he can watch the news on and text on and such. So I don't think that there is a guy, especially one who's interested in cars at all, that would think that town car is a limousine, especially just knowing that limousines are very long. So I found the comment to be very funny. And then we have Light arriving home, and wow, was he working hard without us knowing it, because the second he gets home, he breaks down completely. He starts banging on his desk. His face contorts. He is upset. He is so angry at Elle for making this move he didn't anticipate, for trying to get him caught. How is he going to deal with this? And then, much like in the first episode, no, first he admits that, like, in this move, Elle kind of won. Elle got him. And then he just basically does his, like, 180 switcheroo right away, and it starts cackling like a madman before he says, actually, in fact, there's nothing to worry about. The very fact that Elle had to reveal himself in person just proves that he has nothing on him, and that this game of wits between him and Elle is just getting started, and if what Elle wants from him is friendship, then he'll give him friendship. There'll be friendly acquaintances at the college, and once he has sucked dry all of the knowledge that he can from Elle, he will kill him with his own hands. And by his own hands, he means the notebook, because he wants Elle to trust him enough to give him his real name. And he does know that the alias that he is using, which is the same name as a drama star, was specifically chosen so that Light couldn't kill him, because one, it's an obvious alias, and two, if he tried, he probably would end up killing the drama star, which would then basically be a big major red flag that, oh yeah, this guy, definitely Kira. And anyways, that is where we end the episode, with him having his little bit of a pep talk, reassuring himself that he is going to win and he is in the strongest position. And overall, a very amusing and lovely episode. I enjoyed it a great deal. A great deal. And so I ended up ranking it 9 out of 10 because I enjoyed it so much. And that then brings our personal ranking list to, in first place, we have our premiere, which was Rebirth. This episode takes second, Encounter, and then Glare, Pursuit, Confrontation, Tactics, Unraveling, Overcast, and in ninth place so far, Dealings. And now we come to our final segment, which is our series ranking overall. And this, of course, is where we're going to rank each of the parts against each other. And we won't know the final scores until we finish the series. But for now, we're going to add today's scores to the total. And in part 1, there are 26 episodes, which leads to a maximum possible score of 260. On the mostly objective side, we're adding 9, and that is bringing us up to 63 out of 260. And then on the personal side, we are also adding 9 for a total of 38 out of 260. And with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Death Note Part 1, Episode 9, Encounter. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.